you breathe purple and gold? Are you ready to hoist the colors? Now, time for the most in-depth look at the world of ECU athletics. Welcome in to Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo on 94.3 The Game. Watch the show live on Facebook and at 943thegame.com. Now, here's your host, Stephen Igo.
Welcome in, Hoist the Colors on this Thursday, August 22nd edition of the show. We are 9 days away from East Carolina football kicking off its season against the Norfolk State Spartans inside Dowdy-Ficklen Stadium. We are 2 days away from Week 0, college football action officially getting underway. Excited about today's program. We're going to get into all of that. We're live on 94.3 The Game, of course, along with the 94.3 The Game YouTube and Facebook pages. Make sure to like and subscribe. We're over 1,000 members on our YouTube page on 94.3 The Game, so subscribe there so you know whenever we go live. We're also live on X, on the HTC 247 X account, so feel free to leave your comments, YouTube, Facebook, X. We're monitoring them all, and we'll try to get to all of them over the next hour. All right, Philip Pilkington is producing, as always. He's doing his thing, so excited to have him on today's show. And we've got Bobby Harward, who's going to be our usual Friday guest this year, but he is joining us today because he's got some family matters to attend to tomorrow. Bobby is joining us over the internet. So, Bobby, we are 2 days away from college football officially being back. How excited are you, man?
Gosh, dude, I'm so pumped. It's and especially now, the last few days, man, you walk outside in the morning and it kind of starts to feel like fall a little bit. So, starting to get that feel, that fall smell too. Can y'all smell the air like when the
Can I
season's
smell
changed?
football?
Yeah.
It's starting to feel like it. I know Philip was commenting on that yesterday.
Yeah, man. It's unfortunately like Patrick keeps saying, it's false fall.
I know, that's the worst part. It's going to be 97 degrees next week.
Yeah, it's a little rough, but you know Bobby's point, like you're already thinking about football, and then it does a little different smell. Like the pine cones aren't quite out yet, but you know it's starting to become there, and then just that little cool part. I mean, me and my roommate sat out on the back porch last night and hung out. It was just kind of nice to be outside and not be sweating from every crevice and even from places that aren't crevices.
All right, we'll try to transition back to football, but hey, it is what it is, man. It's just part of that time of the year. All right, so Bobby, you're going to be part of our picks. Philip was our champion last year. We'll do our Week 0 picks a little bit later. We'll see if Philip can repeat. We'll also do some NFL picks throughout the year. We may talk some NFL on today's show, but first we'll let you weigh in on the big news from this past weekend. Jake Garcia, ECU starting quarterback, has been named, and we got that news Saturday right after the scrimmage. The timing was a little bit of a surprise, and maybe who was announced as the quarterback a little bit of a surprise too. Your take on Jake Garcia being QB1?
I mentioned this last week. I think the timing was the biggest surprise of it, at least from a public standpoint. I had always thought from a competitive advantage, it'd be best to hold it until the game and the starting lineup is announced at that 6 o'clock kick. But to y'all's point, you've mentioned it on Monday, because I think Houston's intention was to announce it at that Monday presser. But, you have media people at the scrimmage. Some people want to be the first to put it out there and be recognized as the first on the scoop. So I thought Houston, from that standpoint, wanted to get ahead of it, which I agree with. Still surprised that it was Garcia. I think it started to turn that way kind of towards the latter part of camp. But I'm curious. You guys have been out there. What have y'all seen from Garcia? And just from a competitive standpoint, did it surprise you guys?
I kind of figured Caden Hauser was the front runner. He committed a month before Garcia, and I think just everything you had heard, I always felt like he would have every position to win the job. But I think the more, from my perspective, just from reading the tea leaves a little bit and from talking to people, nobody's come out and told me this. I think Garcia being a little bit older, he's, I think, at least 2, maybe 2.5 years older age-wise than Caden Hauser, and just having been through a lot. He went to so many different high schools. He was in the limelight throughout his prep career. He goes to Miami where he's kind of seen as like the next guy. They have a coaching change there from the head coach. Obviously, Cristobal came in after Manny Diaz, who had recruited him. Then they had an OC change after one of his early years there. He goes to Missouri, where he's kind of relegated to, I don't want to say being irrelevant, but in many cases, not seeing a snap makes you that way in a quarterback. And I think going through all that has matured him, and him being a little bit older, I think he's just ready right now to start off with handling everything that comes with being QB1. He looks the part, he acts the part, now he's got to go play the part. And I think the maturity of Jake Garcia right now is a tick ahead of Caden Hauser, and I think that's what ultimately landed him the job, because I think they're very similar, and I think it does show a lot that Jake actually beat him out, because we kind of all presumed Caden would be the guy because he committed first. But that was just my read on it. Like, he definitely earned it, and I think mentally right now he's ready for it. Now we'll see how he goes and plays.
You know, Bobby, you kind of asked the being out there question. Obviously, I goes out there more than I've been, but you know, the unfortunate thing is when you're out there, and this obviously by design, you don't see a lot of team period. You don't see a lot of 7-on-7 periods, so it's kind of tough to get a judge. You know, they're just kind of going through their drills. But, yeah, it did kind of seem like all year long, every time you talk to the coaches, it was 50-50. And then so for everything Igo just brought up, by default, you thought it was going to kind of default to Caden with him being the guy here first and, you know, everything. But, hey, it sounds like Jake can sling it. Like Igo said the other day, NCAA football got it right. So they didn't get everything right, but they got that one right.
I think, too, like, maybe we read it the wrong way in terms of, like, I always kind of figured – they would go with Caden because he was younger and had more upside as a result, whereas maybe Jake is the safer play. And I don't know, like, he had such a unique background of going so many places. I think originally I didn't expect him to be this mature, you know, just everything he's been through. Like, he had been kind of the golden child as a recruit. So, I don't know, Bobby. I think I don't want to say false impression of who Jake Garcia was, but I do think he was, better than they thought he'd be after not playing at Missouri, and then maybe, you know, in a better place mentally right now.
Yeah, I think to your point, that was my thought, was with Hauser being the first guy in, I thought they wanted to make him the guy. You know, from a eligibility standpoint and having an extra year, I think that was an added benefit, but I always was under the impression they got their guy first in Hauser, and then Garcia was an added bonus that they could bring in and compete for the job. And now doing some research on Garcia, you know, I'm very, very intrigued. I'm excited to watch him sling the football. You know, Coach Probst, who's a very, very interesting guy and has a lot of stories to him, has said on that Netflix show that he's probably the best kid he's seen throw the football. And then I think somebody put it on one of the Hoist the Colors message boards and started a thread that a Missouri beat writer wrote an article talking about if there's an NFL arm on their roster last year, it was Garcia, even ahead of Brady Cook. So obviously he can throw the football. I'm excited to see that. And I think the ability to stay even keel, which I know has been a talking point for Coach Houston, is a big deal, because this is a new offensive coordinator calling plays for the first time. They're going to face some adversity. As much as we like to think things have changed and improved, and we hope that's the case, they're still going to face adversity. And even if they're firing on all cylinders out the gate, at some point in the year, there's going to be adversity. There are going to be some turnovers, and the guy that is most even keel and can keep everybody level-headed has the advantage.
Cameron on YouTube says, can we redshirt Caden Hauser this year, or was he already redshirted? He was redshirted as a freshman at Michigan State, so he is a redshirt sophomore this year. We'll kind of get some regardless of how much he plays. Robert on YouTube says, appears Hauser was the safe pick, and Garcia has the potential to be a playmaker. I do think Garcia's got the better arm, and therefore maybe the better, you know, ceiling as far as being a passer. But it's not like Caden's, you know, incapable of making plays too. So I really think, having seen them both in scrimmages, I saw both scrimmages from start to finish. You know, they're very similar. I do think Garcia has more pop, more zip on the ball, but Caden is very good as well. They're both good, and it's just a matter of they just feel like Jake's more ready right now, and I think a lot of it comes down to being more even keel, like Bobby said. I'll tell you what, the one thing I'm most interested in seeing, guys, is Jake Garcia didn't play at all last year, of course. Now, he took some hits at Miami early on, But Caden Hauser took a beating last year. He's used to getting hit in a football game. Michigan State had a porous offensive line last year. He played a lot behind that, took some hits, got up as a result of that, and continued to keep going forward. How does Jake Garcia react to getting hit in a live game? Because he hasn't done that since 2022 at this point, Philip. So for me, when he takes his first big shot or two, if it comes against Norfolk State, we'll see. But definitely against ODU and App, how does he respond from that?
That's a really good point, because the one thing about the quarterback position is practice. Well, I shouldn't say this. No position can practice truly simulate a game, even a scrimmage. But the one that is the most drastic difference in any sport ever is quarterback. And to your point, when you get hit, your body doesn't feel the same, and you got to go out there and throw the football while it didn't feel as good as it did in pregame warm-ups. And then B, it's that, are you running scared? Are you thinking too much about the pressure? Pocket presence is good, but are you thinking about the pressure so much that you then miss an opportunity, miss a window down the field where you should have thrown the football because you're worried about getting hit? And, that's part of the reason, and it's not going to totally go off topic here, but just a quick, why I wish Bryce Young was playing in the preseason. And I think that all starting quarterbacks should play in the preseason because, to your point, there is a difference when you get hit and you haven't been hit in 2 years, and the last time you got hit, you got hurt. Who knows? It could be bad. You hope it's not. But, we have to, as Pirate fans, you've got to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. And the worst case scenario is, obviously other than getting injured, is that he goes out there, he gets hit, and then he's like, oh, crap. And then it affects his play. Same way it did like with Mason last year when he threw his first interception. He was able to take the hits. But when he threw that first interception, it really affected his play.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I don't know, Bobby, what do you think? Because I'm kind of conflicted on the whole two quarterback deal. I won't – for ECU's sake, I want Jake Garcia to take this position, run with it, go have all-conference year, lead ECU to 10 wins, etc. But I really feel like in the back of my mind, I'll be very surprised if Caden doesn't get a shot too, just because they're so even. We'll see how it plays out. But do you think we see Caden Hauser, early in the season, later in the season? Any hunch on that?
I think we see Caden first game, to be honest with you, just from a score standpoint. I am anticipating that we handled Norfolk State pretty comfortably. So I do anticipate to see Caden, but to y'all's point, what you've been discussing here, the last time Garcia got hit, he got hurt. So there's obviously some injury history there. I don't know, I know it was an ankle deal or a leg injury, so I don't know the full extent if it was just a bad hit or if there's an injury history there with him going back into high school. But regardless, JDB mentioned this in the press conference. He's been, in college football, 11 years, and he's had 3 seasons where he's had the number one quarterback go through the whole season. So I do anticipate we see Hauser at some point. And I think that's what we need to remember too, is this, I know there's a lot of fear in terms of how last season was for our offense and the Pirate offense and just how terrible it was offensively, especially at the quarterback position. This is completely different. And not just because we have 2 quarterbacks competing, it's not the same situation, because I feel that either of these 2 quarterbacks would have won that quarterback position battle last year pretty comfortably. So I think this is a different level of competition and a different type of competition, and I feel comfortable with either one of them taking the starting role. The other part with injuries too, which will be interesting, is we've mentioned our concern about the offensive line, and it had a horrendous season last year, and there was a multitude of reasons for that, whether that was philosophy from both the OC and the offensive line coach, and however that mesh and gel was, there's some schematics in that. I think the schematics this year will help improve the offensive line play. You'll see a lot of quick passes. I think obviously JDB brought in his offensive staff, so those coaches should be on the same page. So I do think we'll see improved offensive line play on top of being able to get the ball out quicker, which will help and prevent some of those big shots at our quarterback.
Bobby Harward with us today, brought to us by Sup Dogs. Check them out downtown in Greenville. One more question for you on the ECU front, Bobby, before we get a break in. All right, so Norfolk State, and we'll get more into this next week when we're doing our game preview, and we'll actually get an early look at Norfolk State week 0. They take on Florida A&M on Saturday on national television. But if you're East Carolina, and I've gone back and forth on this too, part of me, I mean, yeah, you want to save stuff for ODU and App, but like you also want to set the tone that this is a new era. So how much are you throwing out there game 1? Because if I'm ECU, I'm trying to make a statement that build my guys' confidence, build the fan base's confidence, get this thing rolling. I don't want to go out there and go straight vanilla in the opener. You should be able to have some success if so, but you also want to come out and just set the tone. I don't know. What's your take on how you approach this opener if you're East Carolina?
That's an interesting philosophy, and I think it varies from coach to coach or staff to staff. Kind of what I anticipate, let's just say there's 3 levels to an offense, and I'm just using this analogy to hopefully make it make sense. Level 1 is your very base, very vanilla stuff, probably the stuff you saw in the spring game. Very, very basic, your core concepts, and then off of that, you go up to level 2 where you can kind of advance it. You have some motions, you have some shifts, formation adjustments, those sort of things. And then you take it even to another level where you build upon those concepts, and that's where you get to level 3. I think mostly we'll see base core concepts because you want to see what you're good at as a head coach or as an offensive coordinator. You want to find out what your offense is good at in a game. You've seen it in practice. You have a good feel. I think it's going to be very important for JDB to have constant communication with the quarterbacks, which I think he does in terms of what he's comfortable with. And that was always a big thing for Lincoln and Shane is, hey, what route combinations are you comfortable with? And then now out of what formations, what makes it easier for you to see? And so I think that's why you see a lot of success from Lincoln Riley. And I think the added bonus is having JDB in the ear now of the helmet. So I think that's going to be an interesting twist this year. But bringing it all back to your original question, I do think we'll see probably a little bit of that tier 2 level advancement of their core concepts, but I don't think they'll get too carried away with it. I think they're going to want to stick to their roots. They're going to want to see what they're good at and what they can execute in a game setting. And then as the season continues, they'll build off of that.
And then, of course, the other factor is John David Baker. This will be his first time calling a game as an OC, a live game. He's called scrimmages and all that. But we just don't know what his philosophy is on game day. How many plays is he taking into games? How much is he willing to adjust on the fly? We won't really know until the season gets going. So a lot of fascinating topics going into the season opener for East Carolina. All right, let's get a break in. We'll come back. We will transition to week 0 of college football. It starts this weekend. The schedule's not great, but hey, it's college football. It's live games, and we got to start making our picks. We'll do that on the other side. We'll kind of get into some free-for-all as well as the show goes on. Bobby and I both have rants to get to, so we'll do that on today's edition of Hoist the Colors as well. We will be right back.
We're down to the final days of our summer sales event at Greenville Toyota.
Lease new RAV4s, $319 a month. Test drive the redesigned 2025 Camry, all with our advantage.
It's your last chance to save at Greenville Toyota.
Acre Station Meat Farm, along with Lane Angus Beef, bring you Farm to Fork Beef.
Stock your freezers now with affordable beef boxes, just in time for the grilling season.
Farm to Fork Beef brings quality local beef to your family. From your traditional butcher shop, Acre Station Meat Farm. Come on down to Acre Station Meat Farm and find out why we're #1 in fresh cuts and friendly service.
Acre Station Meat Farm, Highway 32 North, Pinetown.
Other restaurants claim their food is fresh and fast, but are they friendly? At Moore's, you're treated like family the minute you walk into their doors. With locations in Winterville, New Bern, Swansboro, Morehead City, and Jacksonville. We've been practicing what we preach since 1945. At Moore's, our barbecue is slow cooked and smoked over real wood daily until it's so tender it's falling off the bone. Combined with our fresh chicken, cooked-to-order seafood, and homemade fixins, we're sure you'll agree. If it's not Moore's, it's less.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt & Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
When a place is as special as this, you don't want to change a thing. You simply want to enjoy it, just as it is. That was our inspiration behind Bow Coast West, our newest community in Beaufort, North Carolina. Embrace all that we love about this very special place and make it easy for families to enjoy all that this coastal lifestyle has to offer. Be inspired. Bow Coast West.
Dum-dum-dum. Get low, get low, get low. 369, ooh, she fine. Hoping she can sing it to me one more time. Get low, get low, get low, get low.
Grab a Pepsi Wild Cherry and get wild.
Hurry, the summer savings event is coming to an end. Don't miss your chance.
Enjoy your summer in a new Corolla for just $219 a month, or a Highlander for only $399 a month. Got a trade? Get cash for it, or trade for a new Toyota.
Hurry into Greenville Toyota today.
This is ECU head football coach Mike Houston, and you're listening to Hoist the Colors on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the Colors here Thursday, August 22nd. And we talked a lot of ECU football segment 1. We are now going to talk more national football. Segment 2, Bobby Harward is with us on this Thursday. He'll be our usual Friday guest when we making picks all season long on college football and NFL. So our Friday shows are often, we'll preview East Carolina. Obviously, this is Hoist the Colors, but we'll also look around the entire landscape of football, college, NFL, and discuss a little bit of everything. So excited to have Bobby on for that. He's brought to you today by Sup Dogs, 213 East 5th Street, Greenville, North Carolina. You guys know the deal. Multiple-time Barstool Best Bar winner. Check them out, Sup Dogs, and also check out Crush Vodka right across the street. It is a awesome place to enjoy a drink and hang out with friends. All right, Bobby Harward with us. Are we ready for week 0? Again, the slate is not great. We're going to pick 4 games against the spread. And again, we're going to do against the spread because straight-up picks are too easy. Philip was our champion last year. I think he's documenting our picks as we go along. Our slate this week, we're going to do 4 games. I didn't realize how many FCS games there were until I looked it up, but they don't release lines for FCS games until I think either the morning of or night before. We're going to start with really the headliner, Florida State and Georgia Tech. They're playing 12 noon on Saturday in Dublin. And I guess I'm excited for this game. I don't know, Bobby, before we get into the line, is this the one game you're actually looking forward to this weekend?
Probably. I'm intrigued by the SMU. Obviously, the Norfolk State. I want to watch them and see how they look before they come into Greenville. But, outside of this and then maybe the SMU game just because, Rhett Lashley has a pretty high-powered offense there. So this is definitely the headliner, though. I'm very curious. Why the heck are they playing in Dublin? Because, Notre Dame played last year, and that makes sense. But Georgia Tech and Florida State just doesn't make a ton of sense to me. It's an ACC game played all the way in Ireland.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I have no idea. Do you any background on this, Philip? Do you have any idea where they're playing in Dublin?
I don't know why these two are. I know that NCAA signed some sort of contract, and there's supposed to be a game there. And I believe 21, that was the game that you guys mentioned that got moved last year. And maybe I think it was Notre Dame and Georgia Tech, wasn't it? So maybe there's now a lot of Georgia Tech fans. Maybe they saw them get slaughtered and they feel bad for them. I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. It is. You think that, again, they would send Notre Dame and somebody. I think Notre Dame Miami would be a good game to send over there. I don't know if they play each other this year, but give me the Catholics and the Cons in Dublin. I think that'd be great.
Says this game is, according to Phil Steele, is being played in a stadium which holds 51,700 people. So we'll see what the turnout is as far as the game. Georgia Tech last year 7-6 under Brent Key. Florida State, of course, 13-1, but a lot of changes. All right, Florida State is a 10.5-point favorite Let's start with Bobby. Who you got covering between the Noles and the Yellow Jackets?
I got the Yellow Jackets. I think, Florida State is good, but I think they're a little overrated coming off of last season. I still don't trust DJ Ugalele, or however you say his last name. There you go. Thank you, because I was never going to get that right. I know he had a better year at Oregon State, but I still don't trust him. And Georgia Tech always finds a way to beat better ACC teams. They blow games they shouldn't blow, but they always win games that they shouldn't.
Philip, what do you got?
I agree. I think that Georgia Tech is on their way up. I think they're better. I think that Florida State, I think a lot of people thought this line was going to be higher. It was going to be, or more of a spread, and therefore would go with Georgia Tech. But I think Vegas got this one right to make it as tight as they are. However, Florida State comes out with a chip on their shoulder. I think they cover this back door. It's one of those that's pretty close, and they put them away, win it by 2 touchdowns, win it by 17 late. So give me the Noles.
I'm going to go with the Yellow Jackets. I am a little bit fearful of a lot of people seem to be on the the Georgia Tech side, which leads me to believe Florida State might win this going away. But I'm with Bobby. I think Georgia Tech is well coached. I think they're a little bit better than people give them credit for when they show up in games like this. So give me the Yellow Jackets to cover the 10.5. All right, Montana State, gentlemen, is a 12-point favorite playing against New Mexico. And, of course, Montana State is an FCS team. And so they are almost a 2-touchdown favorite on the road against New Mexico, which is now coached by Bronco Mendenhall. This will be his first game, former BYU and Virginia coach, coaching the Lobos. So who you got, Bobby? You're getting 12 points with a FBS team. Are you taking that, or are you taking the Montana State? Is it the Bobcats?
It's the Bobcats, yeah.
This is the weirdest line to me. It's even gone up, at least on ESPN, to 13.5 now.
Wow.
Which is just, it's like, I started doing some research on Montana State this morning, and they were 8-4 last season. So it's not like they were just dominant.
Is New Mexico
they were in
worst
Montana State's conference is tough. I think they're in the same conference as like New Mexico State, as in like North Dakota and South Dakota State, and like
Big Sky.
I can look it up to confirm because I may be talking out of my rear end and it could be totally wrong, but I'm gonna look it up while you give your analysis because I'm curious.
Yeah, and so that's surprising. I know New Mexico has been pretty terrible. I don't think they're going to be the worst team in the Mountain West, and I like Bronco Mendenhall, so I'm not going to say New Mexico is going to win, but I do like them to cover the points, so give me New Mexico.
All right, Philip.
Yeah, just looking at their losses here last year, they did lose to South Dakota State. They lost to Idaho, lost to Montana, and lost to North Dakota State. So Idaho was decent, but other than that, really good losses. This is tough because, when this came on the schedule, Bronco Mendenhall's always struggled in his first year at a program, regardless of which one it is. I was like, Montana State, man, I'm feeling good about this. I think that the Lobos are on upset alert. But for them to come out as 12-point favorites is like, ooh, this is a little tough. I think the Lobos keep it closer than that. Also, Bobby, I know I should have been listening, but I was looking it up. I need to document. Who did you pick? Did you pick New Mexico?
Yeah, I picked New Mexico to cover. I mean, and looking at their scores last year too, Montana State scores the football. So there's games they're putting up 50 points, 60 points, 40, 38, 59, 42, 45, so 57. I mean, they score. But Bronco Mendenhall's a defensive guy too. So I just don't see Montana winning with the points.
Yeah, I'm gonna try not to overthink this one, and I'm just like if I'm getting 2 touchdowns basically with an FBS team at home against a good but not dominant FCS team, I am taking the FBS team. So I'm going New Mexico. The Lobos have gone 2-10, 2-5, 3-9, 2-10, and 4-8 the last 5 years. As I look at it, last year they beat Tennessee Tech 56-10. In 22, they beat Maine 41-0. In 21, they beat Houston Baptist 27-17. So they've taken care of the FCS games with probably similar talent than what they're going to have this year. So give me the Lobos to at least cover 12. All right, So we'll see. Did you pick New Mexico as well?
Yeah, I did. I don't want to, but I'm going to.
All right, SMU is at Nevada, and this is an interesting game because they're on the road against the Wolfpack in their first year in the ACC. The SMU Mustangs are 25-point favorites, and they've got a ton of talent, a ton of hype with them going into the ACC. 25 points is a lot. Nevada last year, guys, 2-10. They've got a first-year head coach, Jeff Choate. They were bad last year. And can they hang around at all, Bobby, and cover this 25-point spread?
They cannot. This was the easiest pick for me, and I think I got SMU with the points. And it's as simple as I think SMU's pretty good, and I think Nevada stinks. So that's kind of where I'm going at, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is plus 30.
Philip?
Yeah, SMU may not have the firepower they've had the last handful of years, especially the wide receiver position, but look, this is still a really good football team. They're going to finish middle of the pack in the ACC, and that's with a relatively tough schedule in the ACC and Nevada. I mean, they might be the laughing stock of the Mountain West right now. Of course, we're getting both laughing stocks of the Mountain West in these two games with New Mexico and Nevada. But, yeah, I just don't see this one being close. Could be surprised. I mean, they're on the road, but you've had all summer to prepare for them. Give me the Mustangs.
Mustangs are getting too much hype, gentlemen. And last year, I know that SMU closed with, let's count it, 9 consecutive victories in the regular season. But some of those road games, they struggled a little bit. Even ECU could have knocked them off. They barely beat Rice on the road. They struggled with Memphis and Tulane, did get the victories. So I give them credit for that. But I'm going to go Nevada here to cover the 25. I think they hang around, make it interesting. There's probably going to be very few people in the building. SMU, I think, may take a little lightly. All this ACC hype, looking forward to that. So give me the Wolfpack to put a scare into the Mustangs. Jeff Choate's squad, I think that's how you pronounce it. They're going to come out ready to go. And I'm also picking Nevada, so it gives me a reason to watch this game and root for the Wolfpack. So I'm going to go. They cover the 25. All right, our final game, guys. I think it's 11:59 Eastern kickoff. Hawaii hosts Delaware State. To give you guys an idea of how bad Delaware State is, Delaware State last year went 1-10. They lost to Army 57-0. They lost at Miami of Ohio 62-20 in their 2 FBS games. They are 40-point underdogs at Hawaii. So the Rainbow Warriors, heavy favorites here. Can they cover the 40-point spread, Bobby?
This one was a very interesting – I swayed this morning because I was like, no way Hawaii covers 40 points. That's just a lot. And Hawaii's not that great of a team relative to the rest of the FBS. But then you add into the fact I did some research on Delaware State, and they stink. They're terrible. 1-10 or whatever you said last year. Not only that, they didn't even make their flight yesterday to go out to Hawaii. They missed their flight, and they had to fly out the next day. So just a disaster from the get-go. Give me Hawaii with the points. And you mentioned it earlier there, kind of leading up to this. They pulled the FBS opponent cover the 40. They're not going to cover and those were East Coast games. They're not going to cover the 40 in Hawaii. So give me Hawaii.
It's interesting because if you go to Hawaii, you want to go week 0, right? You're not coming off a game. I don't know if they play next week, but it's first game of the season. But to your point, you miss your flight. They might have been the worst Division I team last year in the country. I don't think Delaware State is good at any sport. I remember when they came here in women's lacrosse one time, and this was when our program was brand new. We beat them 17-2. And I know it's a different sport, but the thing is, I don't think they put any money into athletics. There's a rumor that their radio team is not even traveling, so there's not going to have a radio broadcast, even though they're supposed to travel to road games. It's clear they don't care. It's clear they're looking ahead to conference play, which they'll still probably won't win a game in, and the Rainbow Warriors probably win this one by 50+.
Yeah, Hawaii last year, they took on Albany, which is a much better FCS team. They won 31-20. They went 5-8 last season. Not with Timmy Chang as their head coach, not the offensive numbers you would expect from a Hawaii team.
Especially considering he's their all-time leading passer. Actually, is he the country's all-time leading passer?
He's got to be up there because he was there in that June Jones era.
Yeah.
Looking at last year's scores kind of worries me. I don't think they're great, but they do return 15 starters, and I think they'll be better this year. And Delaware State is horrendous. So I'm with you guys. I'm rolling with Hawaii. Give me like a 56 to 10 type game, and that covers it for the 40-point spread. 40 points is a lot, though, so we'll see what happens. It'll give us a reason to watch college football till 3 a.m. All right, last thing before we break, William Lanham wants to know, what do you guys think the spread will be for the Norfolk State game? Good question. It's hard to say without seeing Norfolk State play first, but I'm not expecting Norfolk State to be very good. ECU beat Gardner-Webb last year 44-0. Gardner-Webb probably better than Norfolk State. That was a horrible ECU team. I'm going to put the spread at around upper 20s, 30 points-ish is how I would handicap it. I don't know. Am I being too bold, Bobby? What do you think?
My first thought was 26.5 would be the spread. But then, thinking about it, Vegas is pretty in tune with a lot of things. So I would not be surprised to 29.5 to 31.5 range for the spread.
I think if they don't have a game scheduled week 0, I'm thinking it might be just north of 4 touchdowns. But because they do, that might slim it just shy of it. But yeah, within exactly 4 touchdowns, give or take 2 points one way or another, it's going to be right around 28.
Yeah, upper 20s just feels right, or around 30. But we'll see this Saturday night. They take on, again, Florida A&M. That is a night kickoff on ABC. We're going to pick that game. Florida A&M will be the favorite. They're coming off a pretty solid season. They got a good program. But no spread on that game yet. So stay tuned for that.
I'm taking the Rattlers, though, straight out. I mean, we obviously don't know the spread, but should we text each other and then add it to the
I think we should just watch.
Okay. I was going to say, we can add it to the sheet. But
we'll see.
I'm taking the Rattlers, baby. FAMU.
We'll have a group discussion.
All right.
All right, let's get a break in. We'll come back. We've got some rants to get to. We also want to talk some NFL. Really not interested in talking Major League Baseball, but maybe we will for these gentlemen who are joining us on this Thursday edition of Hoist the Colors. We will be right back.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
You know what the problem is with standard belts? Usually you have to choose between too tight or the opposite, too loose. But with Anson Belt and Buckle, you don't have to choose. We got rid of the holes and instead have a track system designed for micro-adjustability. That way you can enjoy a perfect fit every time. Anson Belt and Buckle. Find your perfect fit today.
This is about you, your family, and the health of all who live in Eastern North Carolina. This is about the transformation of a health system into something more powerful and more human, about creating new ways to treat disease and keep you well. This is about ECU Health, which is to say, it's really all about you. ECU Health. Minds, hearts, purpose.
Your confidence makes everything look good. You see the world in vivid color, not black and white. Swing through your neighborhood Fantastic Sam's Cut in Color and let our experienced stylists take you from everyday to extraordinary.
Fantastic Sam's hair salons are locally owned and operated. Our full-service salons are conveniently located in Goldsboro, Kinston, Greenville, New Bern, Jacksonville, and Calabash. Stop in today at Fantastic Sam's, where the possibilities are endless.
Hi, I'm D.R. Alligood.
And I'm his daughter, Jessica.
For 11 years, we have built quality driveways and parking lots for both your residential and commercial needs. We also offer free on-site quotes to have your custom driveways built the way you want.
252-946-1227.
Living easy is the sound of children laughing as you make memories with neighbors and friends. It's the sound of nothing at all. It's the smell of the salt air. Hear the waters against the marsh grass. See the beauty of our coast. Bow Coast, located in Beaufort, North Carolina. Southern living's best small town.
Climb aboard as we set sail and hoist the colors.
matey!
Back to the show with Steve and Igo on 94.3 The Game.
All right, welcome back in. Hoist the colors on this Thursday, August 22nd edition of the show. All right, we've talked ECU football. There are a few other things I want to hit on if we have time, but we'll see. Panda Askew, Charlotte offensive line transfer, has joined the team. And then Savone Revel being 12th overall on Dane Brugler's big board for the Athletic for the 2025 NFL Draft. So that's pretty high praise there. If we have time, we'll get into those things. All right, Bobby Harward is with us on this Thursday. Sup Dogs brings you to him as 213 East 5th Street, Greenville, North Carolina. You guys know the deal. Sup Dogs, check them out. Crush Vodka in the downtown area. Great supporters of ECU Athletics Team Boneyard. Speaking of East Carolina, got this parking ticket right here. It's that time of year. I did notice that a bunch of ECU football players and, past and present liked my tweet where I took some shots at parking transportation services at East Carolina University. Look, I get they've got a job to do. Okay, we're parked there for 30 minutes for practice. These people take their job way too seriously. Not only did they give me a ticket for parking for covering the team as media, when there's plenty of parking spaces available, by the way. So I had an intern out there this week. He was trying to park to cover practice. First time he's ever covered practice. Big day for him. Shout out to Chance. They won't let him park. They tell him to go park in Lower Minges. He goes to Lower Minges. They follow him to Lower Minges. To make sure he parks there. And then he has to walk over. Do we not have anything better to do, parking people, than follow people to where they're supposed to park? I mean, find something better to do that actually makes a difference. Look, there's plenty of parking over here. I get they've got a job to do. And the other thing that really ticked me off was I walk out, see the ticket on my car, shout at the lady. I wouldn't say shout, but definitely raise my voice at her. Hey, I'm with the media. I've been doing this for 15 years. I've never paid a ticket. I won't pay it now. And she said, not my problem. You can deal with it. And walked away, got in her car, and drove off. It is your problem. You're the person who put the ticket on my car. Maybe learn to have a little bit of respect for customer service, and I wouldn't be so ticked off. ECU parking and transportation, look, you guys stink. Reevaluate what you're doing, how you handle your business. Yeah, you got a job to do, but if you're going to treat people like this, then we're going to come at you too. I'm done. Never paying this ticket. They can hold it against me, whatever. I'm not going back for any more school. I'm sorry.
They can fly a kite.
They can fly a kite. Do y'all have any good parking stories to tell from your time there? I feel like everybody's dealt with ECU parking.
I don't understand why you don't have a parking pass. Like, why don't they give media a parking pass? That's the first question I have. It makes no sense. At least you never have to pay, but I don't. I used to at the corner of, 10th Street and Charles, maybe? Yeah, 10th and Charles, that across from the Krispy Kreme, that McDonald's parking lot there.
Oh, yeah.
Because I had a house in Stratford in undergrad, and I parked there for class. I mean, I would have 3 classes back to back. Never had an issue. The last day of exams, I go to just run in and turn a sheet of paper in. I literally walk down to the class, turn the paper in, walk back. My car is gone. It got towed. That's my parking story. So I've parked there for like 2 years for multiple classes, but the one time I'm there for 15 minutes, my car is gone. So there's my parking story.
That's tough. Phil, have you had any tickets since?
Knock on wood, I haven't.
Yeah. It's
with
coming.
ECU, yeah. The weirdest thing we had is I lived with the Prov one year, and one of our roommates had you could pay extra and get like a special spot that was your marked spot. He was out of town for the weekend, so the other roommate parked there, thinking like, oh, well, he's not going to be here, and even if he does, he's not going to call the car or call the tow truck. He's just going to text me. The tow truck people came by, saw that wasn't his spot, and then towed him from his own roommate's spot. So that was rough. But other than that, yeah, I just lived in Umstead and had to park in D-Lot, so I had to walk forever. And there's this little parking lot next to Umstead, and they still didn't want you to park there to even unload groceries. It's just a joke. I mean, how did we not have more parking closer to campus for students? Like, it was getting off work at 11:30 and having to catch the bus from D-Lot to Umstead, like to main campus. It's just the parking layout at East Carolina is a joke. If you ask me what's the worst part about this college, I would say the parking, hands down.
It's pretty bad. They just direct everybody to Lower Minges, if by default, and then catch the bus or walk from there. All right, Bobby, I know you got some things you want to hit on the as a supporter of the program, so I'll let you get to that.
Thank you. Well, I have one that just popped up. It really irked me, and it is ECU. The pitcher the Orioles traded Connor Norby for just got demoted to AAA, so that's really great. The fact that we're trading Connor Norby, who's thankfully finally got promoted in Miami, and they've demoted that pitcher now. So that's frustrating. But, yeah, my rant is more – I don't know if it's necessarily a rant. There's been some things that have happened with the Pirate Club recently that it just started to build and stew. And I don't know if we have Pirate Club, like people that work in the Pirate Club listening, and maybe something can be done about this, but there's just a few things that have added up. Number one, I have not renewed season tickets under my name yet since last year, and I've been a season ticket holder the last few years. And I have not received one call asking to renew my season tickets. I think that is something that can be easily fixed. I think you can have football players make calls to those people who haven't renewed season tickets. I think you could have student athletes in general, maybe people who need internship hours or something like that. And look, I know some of their class schedules are busy, but over the summertime, there's really not a lot going on outside of working out in class. You have a lot of free time. You could even get those freshmen to call who maybe are younger guys, so you don't have to get, Rajay Harris calling or Jake Garcia or Caton Hauser or anything like that. Get a freshman to call. But I do think any season ticket holders would reconsider if they had a student athlete call them. The other is, or another issue, I have signed my kids up, all three of them, for the Junior Pirate Club. And there is not one generic welcome email that since I've signed them up, now granted it's only been a few days, but I think it would be pretty cool and something easy to do if you could just have like I could tell my kids, hey, Petey sent y'all an email, and I think my kids would lose it with excitement. And that's just an easy fix. Not to mention the signing up for the Pirate Club. Maybe, I work in technology, so I don't think it's me, but I tried to sign them up under my Pirate Club stuff because I don't have emails and separate email addresses for each of my children. And there was just really not, other than the comment section, to put like, what's the child's name I'm signing them up for? What's their t-shirt size? What's their age? That sort of thing. So that's an issue. The biggest one for me is the Pirate Club needs to learn the seating chart. I've had numerous friends try to get tickets in 4A and to be told by Pirate Club people that they need to have a higher donation because the Pirate Club thinks those are purple back seats. 4B is the purple back seats. 4A is bleacher seats. I've had multiple people, one friend consider almost not buying anymore because of that issue. And then I have another who still hasn't bought season tickets because they're tired of dealing with them because they haven't learned the seating chart yet. So I think have the seating chart in front of you, have it easily accessible, learn, especially those purple back areas, what is actually costs more for a Pirate Club donor. I'm not even going to mention the fact the donor difference levels to get more than 4 tickets is a big jump that I think needs to be reevaluated. And then the last thing from the Off My Lawn speech that I'm giving right now is I think canceling Meet the Pirates was a miss. I think that's just a fun thing for families to attend, get you ready. You know, your football season is right around the corner. I had friends take their children to Meet the Pack up in NC State down in Raleigh, and they had a blast. I was really looking forward to being able to take my kids to Meet the Pirates. I think that was a miss, and I think that's something I hope they would reconsider to bring back. I know they did. Their argument is they did something in the spring, but to me, it's not the same. There sucks in the spring most of the time too, because it's either cold or there's like a hurricane coming through. So I think they need to reevaluate, and that was a miss there, and hopefully they bring that back next season.
And I think a lot of good thoughts there from the standpoint of, if you're a season ticket holder and you're not getting reached out to renew your tickets, that in my opinion can't happen. Look, I know that there's people from the Pirate Club that listen to this show, and hopefully they can correct this and get on it. But I mean, we're now 9 days from the start of the season, and this shouldn't be an issue, especially when in a time where you're fighting for every single season ticket you can get. So, as far as the other stuff, there's always ways to improve, and I think you're right. I mean, it was more of a constructive criticism than a rant, but definitely, look, there are ways the Pirate Club can improve, just like there's ways, we at Hoist the Colors can improve. And as me as a media member, Bobby, like, I kind of take for granted showing up to games. I know my parents are Pirate Club members. They have to deal with some of the ticketing stuff, but, like, that for you shouldn't be as much of a hassle as that. So, I don't know. The real question is, are you going to renew your season tickets?
So I have season tickets through a friend. We ended up not renewing. By the time we decided to renew or get season tickets again, we were concerned about being able to sit in our same seats. We had missed the priority deadline or whatever, so we didn't want to be moved and out of the section. A friend of ours actually happened to have a few extra season tickets that he bought, so we just bought them from him. But the point of this, ultimately, I have season tickets, but ECU doesn't know I have season tickets. The Pirate Club, there's nothing in my name through that. So, and to your point about just fans, I drive my kid to school by ECU Stadium, and they are so excited just to even see the stadium and drive by it, knowing that ECU's playing soon. Like, there's just a lot of fan outreach stuff and things for the kids that can be improved. And yes, this is not like a rant. This is just, hey, these are some suggestions, and they've kind of just continued to build up over time. And I think something needs to be done and fixed. Some improvements can be made. And if any Pirate Club people are listening, I'd be happy to.
All right, Bobby, your constructive criticism dialogue took up so much time that we're going to make it a 3-segment show. So we're going to get out of here right now. But appreciate you on this Thursday, and excited Week 0 is back, man. So thanks for all your time. We'll reconnect next Friday. We'll have a game to talk about. Really excited about that. Philip, thanks to you, as always, as well, for adjusting on the fly. We got to get out of here on this Thursday. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll preview all the Power 4 conferences and more. This is Hoist the Colors.
This has been Hoist the Colors with your host, Stephen Igo. Tune in weekdays at noon for all things ECU sports. Get a recap of the show at 943thegame.com, on Twitter, Facebook, or anywhere you get your podcasts. We're back tomorrow with more of